Welcome, everyone, to another weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. We are the premier podcast focused on the hobby of collecting autographs and photo ops from celebrities. We talk about autograph conventions, on-the-street encounters, and everything else about this increasingly strange hobby. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And this past weekend was Monster Mania in Oaks, Pennsylvania, which we attended, and we have a whole report on that. But before we do, there has been some sort of mainstream fallout from Big Event New York. Why don't you take it away? Because, I mean, you were a little bit more front and center on this, and I definitely have an opinion about it. But so basically what happened, there was some kind of, I guess, Ken from KNS, who we interviewed on the show. He had set up a private signing with Goldberg at Big Event. And what exactly happened?
Well, what exactly happened was he was prepared for his private signing to take place, and time simply ran out with Goldberg's availability at the show. He was working for 5 hours. He spent, I suppose, more of the time, as you would expect, with the fans. And when he reached the back to do the private signings that were in place with vendors that included us, Golden Ring, KNS, signed by superstars, and I'm not sure who else, he didn't have time to hit everybody's stuff.
Okay, so what's the problem?
Well, the problem was Ken made a post that essentially explained why the customers' stuff that they either pre-ordered from him or mailed into him was not completed. And his tone was kind of... it didn't seem like he was really bashing Big Event. He was more just... I don't even know if he was bashing anyone, but he sort of painted a picture of Goldberg just like without care, walking past all of his stuff and not doing it, which I mean, I guess is what happened, but it kind of didn't take into account the nuts and bolts of the situation, which is on a guest of that magnitude, the time is the time. And I mean, they're not going to start negotiating extra time for secondary vendor privates. And perhaps with travel itineraries, that wouldn't even have been feasible.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, mainly because how the sort of mainstream wrestling media, if there exists such a thing, covered this. And it's so funny but the part that strikes me as funny is that when this is true in life, when your niche, whatever your niche is, gets covered but in a more mainstream way, it becomes infuriating when you realize how much they get wrong because they don't understand the nuances of it. And so there was sort of this general immediate backlash throughout quite a bit of the press against Goldberg, as if Goldberg had done something wrong here. There's, just to be clear, there's an almost 0% chance that Goldberg was even clued in as to who the people are who are getting bulk signings done with him. That's just not how these things go. He's contracted for X amount of hours. During those hours, he does what the person who booked him asks him to do. If there's a contracted number of pieces, he usually will have someone there with his team to count as he's going. If he doesn't, he goes by the time. And that's really it. It's really a very simple thing. Now, what ended up happening was lots of people, they love to pile on Goldberg because, people are people. And, Goldberg, among some circles, is not the most popular guy for issues dating back 20 plus years. And so, there was an opportunity to pile on Goldberg. But then there was a response from Tom Unger, who runs Big Event, making some accusations that Ken shouldn't have taken pre-orders on this, which I thought was a kind of a strange thing to say, given that everyone knows that the vendors take pre-orders for the bulks that they do. I'm not sure why he said that. That's sort of, I thought that was odd, but by and large, it's pretty clear that Goldberg was signing for the fans nonstop. There really was no break in the line. He ran out of time. The bulks didn't get done because obviously the bulks make the promoter less money than the fan tickets. This is sort of common sense. And so they didn't happen. Maybe the answer would have been to cut Goldberg off from the fans a little bit earlier, or to make him move through the fans a little bit earlier so that the promised bulks could have occurred. But I can understand why no promoter wants to do that, because that's a bad look. So to have to refund prepaid fan tickets is never a good look. So it's the kind of thing where there really is no good answer here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I misunderstood or misinterpreted Tom's tone. I kind of thought, I don't think he blamed Ken for taking the pre-orders. I think the idea was that at least how I took it, was that you sort of enter into this whole thing at your own risk. And if you choose to take pre-orders, then don't go play like the victim card if it doesn't happen. That there is no guarantee, and that I know Tom said on several comments, which I think is absolutely correct, as you said, for financial reasons and for PR reasons, that the fans that were in attendance that bought tickets from Big Event New York come first before anyone that pre-ordered with KNS or signed by Superstars or marked out or anything else. The Big Event customer comes first. It's his deal. Every one of us that was involved on a behind the scenes level of getting pieces done afterwards, we are sort of barnacles on this ship, perhaps, necessary, helpful barnacles as far as selling some pieces and making some extra money for the promoter, but barnacles nonetheless, and Big Events direct customers come first.
I mean, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I mean, look, Ken is a customer of Tom's, quite important customer, actually. As are all of us. We're different types of customers, perhaps, but we're customers nonetheless. And maybe an important lesson was learned by all as to which customers are going to get priority in these circumstances. But I do think, not for nothing, when you do make an arrangement with a promoter for X number of pieces at a discounted rate, you're still, you're making an arrangement with them, and so that arrangement, like, the promoter should do their best to honor that arrangement. Now I don't know to what extent that arrangement was tried to be honored, or not. I don't really know at all. I could understand why Ken would be mad. It's not like we've done many of these. We don't walk into there expecting them not to get done. The norm is for them to get done. It's unusual if something happens and they don't get done, right? So I feel like it's a little bit curious to sort of go and pretend that this is the norm. It is not the norm. The norm is that everything gets done. So I do think, though, that the more interesting story is that the mainstream media, as it were, picked up on this and shows that pretty much no one has a clue how all of these signings work. Even like Stevie Richards, famed barnacle on the nutsack of professional wrestling, weighed in his own thoughts on this, and even he really misunderstood how these deals work. Everyone wants to pretend there's all these contracts flying around as if that's how it works. There was probably some contract between Tom and Goldberg, and then everything else is a handshake, and it always is. And let's not even pretend that it isn't. And so yeah, this was, I think, a little bit of our little secret corner of the world exposed to daylight. And as usual, people don't understand. I don't think any of us comes out looking good here. If I think Ken looks like he's complaining about something he has no right to complain about. Tom looks like, if you make a handshake deal with him, maybe that deal doesn't get honored. No one looks good. Goldberg kind of just, it appears he kind of callously walked out at exactly the time his time ended. And quite frankly, there were other people who sort of disputed that Goldberg worked the full 5 hours. There were some people who said he worked a little bit less. But again, that's Tom's business to hold. If you have a deal with someone, it's your job to hold them to whatever that time was. And that was that. So yeah, it was just more for me an interesting perspective on how outsiders view all this stuff.
Yeah, my closing thoughts on it. I think honestly what it comes down to was the idea that Ken's statement wasn't in itself really bad. But at the same time, Feinstein, with Signed by Superstars, made a similar statement. Ken's statement, for whatever reason, sort of went viral, and I think made Goldberg and other parties seem more at fault, whereas I think Feinstein did a better job of just saying, this is business, shit happens sometimes, we didn't get it done. Oh, well, moving on. And I don't really know what anyone could have done. I understand what you're saying, that if there's a handshake deal, you sort of expect it to get done. And listen, by and large, it does get done. You make a deal with big event. This is news now because it never otherwise really happens. It almost always gets done. But at the same time, I don't know what really, when, time is time. I guess you could crack the whip at the tables and get him moving quicker through the fans. You could have sold less fan tickets, but fan tickets, as we've said, make more money than bulk pieces moving through. And I mean, fans get pissed off when they're rushed, as you see with the Woodbridge Brewing Company. So I don't, I don't really begrudge anyone. I don't blame Ken for being frustrated because, you have to go tell your customers you didn't get the stuff done. That's never fun. But I think objectively speaking, he probably could have made a statement a little more like Signed by Superstars that would have been less inflammatory and getting all these morons that don't understand our little corner of the world, as you put it, to sort of, because that's really what made it worse. I don't think Ken's thing was that bad in and of itself. It's just when everyone else started running with it and the Goldberg bashing and people bashing, not even knowing who Big Event was, whoever had Goldberg, and it really wasn't as bad as
I didn't see anyone bashing Big Event. They bashed Goldberg. That was it.
Well, I'm talking comments. I was reading through the comments. The actual journalists, and I'm doing air quotes for people that can't see me, they weren't bashing anyone, but the real, the typical comments that we'll see even in our group from the interlopers, they were bashing everybody. This and that is unprofessional and whatever. I mean,
I didn't see anyone bashing Big Event, even in the comments. It was all Goldberg. I think there was no real, because what would the common fan even have known? Big Event's name wasn't even put in the article. Ken never even mentioned Big Event by name, right? It was only Goldberg, so it was just Goldberg, and I think that's kind of why it took off, because I believe that it was kind of made it seem like, I think Ken's almost made it seem like he had let me rephrase. Ken didn't do anything. I think people who don't know better operate under the assumption that Ken claimed he had some kind of deal directly with Goldberg, which wasn't the case. And again, everyone who knows that was, Ken never said he did. That was not the point of it.
What I meant by Big Event catching any strays is the narrative and the headline of Goldberg walks out on signings at Big. I think some of the articles I read named the event he was at by name. That could give a casual the idea that if I go to Big Event, the talent's going to walk out early. And that didn't happen. Goldberg worked the full time. I don't think there was a single fan that missed him or anyone. So in that level, I don't think it was really great for, as you said this as well. No one came out of this story going viral in the wrestling community looking good because no one understands the nuances of this game.
It's very true. It's kind of why, truthfully, these sorts of deals, while necessary, are not the healthiest. They're not the healthiest foundation for us to be building our bookings on, but they're necessary. So there you go. What else we got? So I had a fun week. So just a little bit of context for those people, because we didn't actually give all of these details. So the Saturday was crazy for us.
Yes.
The original plan was that we were going to do a big event and leave, and all of our talent was going to get, they had their own ways of getting home and getting rides and getting this and getting that, and we were not responsible for transportation as part of our arrangement. Correct. And that went out the window very quickly when WWE entered the picture. And so this is actually pretty instructive for us, because when talent is given travel by WWE, they're sort of given a flight and then left to fend for themselves with a lot of the logistics. And so, when it came time for our talent, Emily J was going to another booking that night, so she actually drove to her other booking, so that was fine. Brad needed to get back to Orlando the next day, so we had to get him on a train to a particular spot. Ricky had to get back home, and so we had to get him to a train to get him back home. And at the last minute, Jackson was supposed to stay in New York, the New York, New Jersey area. He had to get home basically as a last minute emergency because his gear for Madison Square Garden was delivered to North Carolina and there was no one to get it to him in New York. And so at the last minute, we had to arrange a flight for Jackson home to North Carolina and then get him to the airport. And so our time was spent basically driving to the train station, driving to the airport, and then driving back home and whatnot, and not doing anything else that day. So that was kind of a crazy day, but it all paid off on Tuesday night because I got to see Jackson at Madison Square Garden in his fresh new gear. So I actually kind of on a whim at the last minute, I bought a second row ticket to NXT Gold Rush in New York City because I thought it was important to, I wanted to be in the audience and frankly be on camera when these guys made their Madison Square Garden debut. And so that's what I did. I didn't realize when I was buying the ticket that I would pretty much be on camera the whole night. And I was pretty much on camera the whole night. And many of my friends and people I know who were watching that night were just sending me screenshots all night long of me in hilarious situations. Like I was reacting to entrances and all these different kinds of things. And I was on screen the whole night. You sent your fair share of screen craps as well.
I did. It was funny knowing you and knowing like how you are usually miserable in these types of situations, seeing you like reacting with all this like jubilation to make TV for, it was a smart play, but watching you like fake react to all this stuff was honestly hilarious for me.
I mean, I do have some acting chops, if you know me. And so absolutely, maybe my other friends would text me, "Oh, you really sold that one." Because things were happening. I was, really going wild. There was a I can't remember if it aired on Tuesday or if it airs this upcoming Tuesday, but there's a chair shot in the entryway that I really sell that is definitely going to be on screen because I am definitely in frame for it. But I really wanted to be there for Vanity Project's MSG debut. It was great. It was a lot of fun, and that airs this Tuesday night upcoming on the CW. I'm not going to spoil who wins. I will say Jackson's new gear looked fantastic. So it was worth, I guess, driving him to JFK in bumper-to-bumper traffic to get him home for it. But it was just exciting to see, even though we're such a minuscule part of these guys' careers at this point, just seeing someone who you've put your energy and your time and your money behind, who's achieving real success. It's really, really, really such a fun thing to see. I had a great time at the show. I picked up they were selling at the show signed match cards where I had every single match on the card and every single person on the card signed it. So that I picked up even though I have an infinite number of Jackson Drake autographs at my disposal, I picked up his first official WWE signed item as well, which is cool. I also I grabbed an extra rally towel. They give out NXT rally towels at those events, and they give out the NXT Gold Rush rally towel. So I grabbed an extra one from someone who I guess left theirs on their chair. So if anyone is interested in buying an NXT Gold Rush rally towel, shoot us an email, and I have one available.
Yeah, I mean, I had slight FOMO. I just, after work, dropping a couple hundred on a non-combo related experience, I opted not to go. And I definitely felt some FOMO while watching. And I'm sure I'll feel more FOMO watching this week's, which the Vanity Project segment would have been the main appeal for me. But I'm glad at least one of us was there. I'm glad the Marked Out Collectibles logo was on camera.
There was a lot of time that Marked Out logo was on camera.
And you said smokes popped when he saw you in the crowd with your great Liger hat on.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was visible. And so I have my big Liger hat on. I was wearing my red Marked Out shirt. I was screaming in his face, swipe left, in a way that was just the most obnoxious way possible. It was a good time.
Yeah, and like you said, and I will be very, very brief with this, but it still seems we are absolutely, we have no responsibility in any of these guys' success, but like seeing these people that we have been, dealing with and working with for so long on this stage. Like I know you and I were texting them like right after their segment, and it's wild. It is absolutely wild that they are here in this point, that you were at Madison Square Garden watching that, and absolutely cool, awesome. And it's definitely only the beginning.
So we also did Monster Mania Oaks this weekend. So this was a game day, nearly game day decision for me. I was kind of back and forth on whether I wanted to go, but I did have two important items or really one important item for Robert Patrick to sign, and so that sealed the deal for me.
Stan Hansen.
Yeah, it's a Stan Hansen reference for the three people in the world who understand that reference. So yeah, let's talk about Oaks. I mean, honestly, I thought it was a very, very, very easy show, but also I was literally only getting one person. We did our esteemed marked out trick, and we did not wait on the line to get in and just walked right in. It's really getting like crazy that we're able to do this at every single show, but listen, whatever. We walked right in. I think there were three people ahead of me on the Robert Patrick line, so I jumped right on there. You were kind of scoping out the place to see what the best line to go on was, and then Robert Patrick, he enters immediately. 10:05, he starts signing, and so you jumped right over to get him, and then we were off his line by 10:15.
Yeah. Just to give some context, I replaced my lost meta glasses. I move on quick. And, it helped that Black Friday deals were approaching. And basically, I wasn't going to wait too long. So, the deals they were offering now was about as good as I think it's going to get anytime soon. So I grabbed new pair, and I was back in business. And when you let me know that Robert Patrick was there, I was over by the Bonnie Aaron's line with Golden Ring Brian, just seeing which was my best play to start the day. And once you texted that he was there, I sprinted across the convention center, and I got there comfortably. And since I lost my glasses, I also lost my little elastic light cover that I affectionately refer to as the condom. So all these guys saw my light was a blinking and a flashing, and they all knew that they were being recorded, which I suppose in an ethical sense that should always be the case. But those of us here at Marked Out, we're not all about our ethics always. It's all about content, combos, and craziness. I guess the 3 C's of Marked Out. And Robert asked me if I was recording, and unlike when I lied right to Rainn Wilson's face, I told him I was. And he actually, it was a fun little interaction where he talked to the people of the metaverse, and that video will be dropping this week. Hopefully by the time this episode is out, you guys will be able to find that on our socials.
Yeah, and I do find it funny that you say that you sprinted, because if that is a sprint, I don't even know what. I always you move with a certain deliberateness that is always strikes me as funny. There was no sprinting. I would say maybe a purposeful walk.
No, I genuinely. Your back was turned. I ran. I sprinted, and maybe I slowed down as I reached that the actual line, but I was sprinting across the center of the actual center. Not saying it was that fast of a sprint, but it was a sprint.
Anyway, so I had a great time after I hit Robert Patrick, who was great. He's a talker, a little too much of a talker for my taste, if you want to know the truth. But all's well that ends well. He did a great job with. I have my laser disc that it's already signed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Eddie Furlong, and Linda Hamilton. So it just needed Robert Patrick. He hit that, and he's like, I'm the last one. So it's now complete. And I also had an extra T1000 figure that I had purchased for Boston Fan Expo, and then I had forgotten it back in 2022 when I had gotten him previously. I just forgot it at home. So I made right there, and I got him on that. And I am now done with Robert Patrick, I think.
Yeah, and that was largely all you covered at the show.
So I did, and then I walked around the vendor room.
And listen, we have the that little reel out there that sort of touches on this, but I want to touch on this on the air. You took issue with my new cart.
I did, and I still do.
Explain to the listeners why my cart bothers you.
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down pretty simply. Your cart was a crap, and it was falling apart, and so you noticed that my new cart that I had is not crap, and you said, "Oh, can you send me the link to that one? I want to buy it."
Yes,
it's nice, and I said, "Sure," and I sent the link. Now my cart is a strange color. It's a mint green. Okay, and I will admit I bought the mint green color because of two reasons. Number one, it was one of the colors that had the magnetic lid, but also it was the cheapest one. And so I've had this cart for almost a year, like 8 months or something. And I sent you the link, and I was under the assumption that you would have enough sense to buy a different color, because you don't buy the same color of something that someone else has when you like if you're asking someone, "Oh, I like the thing that you have, I want to buy it." It's just sort of a little bit of like an etiquette, like a social norm thing, that you don't buy the same color they have, because then if you walk around with the same one, then it looks like you did some kind of color coordination. It's bizarre, and you're kind of sending a signal that you don't intend to send. And so when I saw that you had the same mint green cart, I was just completely taken aback, because it's just a social norm that you just don't violate.
Well, listen, now that I didn't even realize. I thought you just liked mint green. You bought mint green for the same reason I bought mint green. It was the cheapest one.
Yes, but I was first to the dance.
That
means something. Matter. Of course it does.
NWO shirts are black and white. No one told the second person to put on a red shirt. That's the thing. I have to admit,
that might be the worst analogy I've ever heard in my life. No, it's like if you like a car, right? You like somebody's car. Oh, I really love that car. And then you go and you buy the exact same one with the same color. That's strange. That's strange. You will not convince me otherwise. It absolutely is.
So if you liked someone's car and you went to a dealership, I mean, granted, with a car, we're talking a completely different magnitude here of savings and values, but you would spend thousands more to get a color that would not match when you could just get the exact same color and save money?
Well, we're not talking about thousands, we're like $2 here, right? It's not a large amount of money.
In cart money, $2 is a lot.
No, but the whole idea was, it's okay. It was not an equal thing where we both saw the same thing at the same time and bought it. Is I had the thing. You liked my version of the thing. You asked for the link to the thing. I had perhaps erroneously made the assumption that you would not buy the exact same color. It's a pretty normal thing. Whether it's shoes or a cart or a jacket or a car, there's just, I feel like Larry David right now when I'm trying to explain a social norm to someone who has not heard that social norm, but it is a social norm.
I thought you'd be flattered.
No, I was like, what are you doing? Because now next con, we're going to have the same mint green cart, and I'm going to do everything where I'm going to want to, in my power, to like find an excuse to leave it home. That's what's going to happen, because it's aggravating. So I do stand by this. Is it a big deal? I mean, look, nothing is a big deal in this hobby. It's obviously for fun, but it is a thing. It is a funny thing to me that you didn't realize that you don't buy the same color as someone.
I suppose. Listen, going forward, I will never buy the same color card as you again.
Hopefully, we're not going to never buy another card again, because this one seems to be pretty good.
Yes, but anyway, for the rest of my show. Bonnie Aarons, the nun. I finally got the nun, and she was great. As I remarked to you, for like most icons of horror, they rely heavily on latex and various prosthetics and makeup and all this stuff. Bonnie Aarons is I guess both lucky and unlucky in the sense that she really looks a lot like the nun naturally. Like that honker is the nun's nose. Like there's not much added to that. So you meet Bonnie Aarons, you're kind of meeting the nun. So that made it a little bit cooler. I know like my wife was disappointed. She wanted her to come like costumed out like Art the Clown does. But the majority of these people in horror do not do that.
Most of them need a professional effects artist to do the makeup. I mean, it just so happens Art the Clown did his own makeup under low budget circumstances, but someone who's in a real Hollywood movie is not going to have that resource available to them for a con.
Yeah. So the idea that she was able, that she's not going to do all of that, but at the very least, she looks like the nun naturally. So that was great. I got all my stuff done. The only thing that was, we've touched on this before, but when Bonnie grabbed the NECA, she immediately started drawing with the paint pen on the actual box. Now, I prefer it on the window. I just do. And she starts, I'm like, oh, the window is great. And she insists, no, trust me, this looks better. It's like a book. This is how I always do it. Everyone loves it. And she had already started doing it, like before she started selling me on it. And maybe I'm a wuss. Maybe I just cowered in the presence of the nun. I don't know. But I said, whatever, knock yourself out. And I'm a little concerned about it because, as we discovered that, you have, with certain surfaces, the pens kind of can oxidate and the colors can change. And what is now a purple, God knows what it's going to be in 5 years since it's on the cardboard.
We noticed we were going through some backstock the other day, and we did notice something was signed on cardboard where the pen color had started to shift a little bit and change, and so it's not the greatest. Not the greatest, but I mean, you never know. I think that was a Sharpie. This might have been a Deco. Or was it a Sharpie?
This was a Sharpie.
So, but you never know.
I do know from experience, though, that certain colors, there's certain color Sharpies that oxidize and change and halo more than others, which, again, goes back to what I always say, where you literally need a science background to really understand how these pens work and which pens you use for which situation. But whatever, I'm saying to myself, I'm trying to convince myself that I'm okay with it and I'm happy with it, but I don't know if I really am. So perhaps at one point I will redo it and sort of put my foot down with that dastardly nun and insist it's on the plastic. I don't know. Who knows? It looks nice enough for now. So I guess if it doesn't oxidize, I mean, I guess in a way we're all sort of oxidizing. So if the thing looks crappier in 10 years, so will I. So I mean, what's the big deal? Everything else was good. And from there, I moved on to the cast of The Black Phone. And I'll be honest, I kind of thought they were going to have a healthy line. I know you're not big with the new horror movies. You've never seen The Black Phone, correct?
I have not.
But you would agree that the first one, at least, was kind of a hit. It was talked about a lot.
It was absolutely a hit. It was a hit, no question. Yeah.
So I figured you have the father of the main kid, you have the sister of the main kid who takes on a bigger role in the second one. So I'm like, okay, this is going to probably be a 30, 40 deep line on each. That was sort of what I was, as I made the time estimations in my head, that's sort of where my head was at. And sure enough, I mean, I think she had maybe 3 people and he had 5. There was nothing. This was Saturday around 11 a.m. and there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I made my way over there. Ethan Hawke started the poster off on the street for me a couple months ago. He did not give a character name because it was a street encounter. More often than not, you don't get character names. So the girl Madeline, her signature is whatever. It was fine. So I said, signature only, just to keep it nice and natural. If you have some character names and then you have some that don't, it kind of bothers me, usually. So I move over to Jeremy Davies. And now, listen, Jeremy Davies was a nice enough guy, but you could just get one look at him and tell he was out of his mind. He had a jacket on with 47 different patches. And they were nice enough patches. He had a swastika with the X through it saying he doesn't support.
Oh. I misheard that for a second. I'm like, what?
No, yeah. No, but he had an anti-Nazi patch. I too am anti-Nazi, in case anyone was wondering. So that was nice. He had different patches for different things. But I personally judge people with lots of bumper stickers on their car, and I also judge people with lots of patches on their clothes. And he would point to the patches and the photo ops, and he was a little out there, let's just say. So I tell him no character name, signature only to match the other two. He signs it, and it was one of the craziest looking signatures I've ever seen. It's sort of like a upside down goalpost. He has a check mark. He has a period. Like, I don't even know what's going on. So after he signed it, I looked at him and said, hold on. I think I need a character name. Because I said, I'm not going to know who the hell signed this. And I felt a little bad for saying it like that. So he, I think that's basically what I said. I have the video, so you guys will see how accurate my transcription is right here, my transcript. But he adds the character name, and then I kind of like hyped him up a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool signature. How'd you come up with it? And I don't know. He told me it looked like an EKG, which my wife, who was an RN, told me that it's not an EKG at all, and that he's just out of his mind. He told me it looked like the algorithm. I don't know what he meant by the algorithm, but whatever. So, yeah. So that was that. I basically need one more person on this black phone print in any real seriousness, and then it'll kind of be done. Because it's an 11 by 14. I don't want to crowd it too much. If I get the main boy on it, I'll be happy. That's basically it. The main 4 is good. So that was that on the black phone, and I moved over then to the line for Adrienne King from Friday the 13th fame. Adrienne is one of the she's one of those like classic horror-con Virgils that, because of my weird self-imposed exile from New Jersey horror-cons for much of a decade, I never got her. So, I mean, how many years ago did you get Adrienne King?
Very long ago. I don't even remember. Like, very long. 2009, 2010, 2011, in that ballpark. Long enough ago that it blends together.
Yeah. So I needed her. So I was on the line for her, and she's really nice. The pricing is good. $40 free photo op. I frustratingly needed 2 items, so I asked you if you wanted to upgrade your photo op for free, and you had no interest even for free, which I guess is kind of tells the story in a nutshell. I would take a free upgrade with anyone if I was there. You are more normal, I guess, and you don't care. But Adrienne was very nice. The prints looked great, and it was kind of nice that she still she dressed like a camp counselor. If there were 70-year-old camp counselors in the movie, her haircut was like the same as it was in the movie. It was very kind of her to sort of stay stuck in like the early 80s or whenever this movie was filmed and stay very, very screen valid for the role. So that was nice. And after that, I moved over. This is where I'm completely out of my mind. I got a photo op with the actress Katya, and I can't even tell you what her last name is. Her head is blocking the banner in the photo op, but she is the female lead of the show Evil. I've never seen the show Evil, but I'm confident that I will like it because I typically like anything in that type of genre. My standards are not super high. And I got the photo because I already have Mike Coulter, I have Michael Emerson, and I know when I would eventually watch this show, which hopefully I do one day, that would bother me. So I got Katya, and for no good reason. And my last bit of con business was luckily carried out by Golden Ring Brian, who had a VIP and smartly used his line jump for Linda Blair. What did the Linda Blair line look like yesterday?
I mean, it was just, it was unending. It was unending. Linda Blair is a very, very strange human being. The way they conducted her line was very strange. Everything about it was strange. The banner she had advertising her appearance was strange.
Yeah, she's really a weird woman. The thing that was funny, which is this is the turnover in this hobby. She's sort of always been this way. Like, I can remember being at Chiller 15 years ago, whatever it was, 14, 15 years ago, waiting in her line. And yes, the line was shorter, but it was the same type of concept. You were sort of knocked over by dogs. It's everything she does is about dogs. And I guess that's nice. I mean, listen, as much as I'm anti-Nazi, I suppose I'm pro-dogs. I'm a fan of dogs. Dogs don't bother anybody, I suppose. But I'm not interested in meeting horror icons and discussing dogs with them. Like, that's just not, I don't really want to discuss anything with these people. Definitely not dogs. So it's all about her love of dogs and her charity. And there's like these rules. They hand out these sheets where, from what Brian was saying, because I was not on the line, thank God, but there's these sheets that go around where you can't say this, you can't ask her questions about The Exorcist, you can't ask her to write the inscription about the penises. All this different stuff that you can't do, which is absurd. Like, you can't ask her about The Exorcist, but you can pay her $80 to sign something about The Exorcist. You can take a print from her table with The Exorcist and pay her to sign it, but God forbid you ask her about it because she hates it so very much. But she's profiting from it. But I guess that's the thing. I guess she's not. The dog charity is. Her charity is. But it's completely deranged. And the people that are in these groups nowadays are new collectors. She hasn't been in these parts in a little while. So they're all freaking out about this because they don't know that this is sort of who she's been. I assume she's gotten kookier with time, because I guess haven't we all? But I mean, this is who she was. This is what she always did. And it was just funny to look at her. And you kind of banned me from talking about this, but I'm talking about it. Her surgery has gone, and she's done so much cosmetic surgery, she looks like an orangutan at this point. She really, really like botched everything. And she could have just aged and been like a 70-something-year-old woman, but instead she looks like a 70-something-year-old orangutan.
I'm not going to make the claim that she looks natural. She does not. I mean, look, she's strange. Strange people are going to look strange. They're going to talk strange. They're going to act strange. She's strange.
Yeah. And then the item I got done, which you mocked me for, and it's fine. I will take the mockery. I got this it's like a 15-inch Reagan Exorcist doll. It's from the company MDS Mega. To me, it's awesome. It's like an action figure on steroids. It's like a mask that isn't going to like just degrade because it's made out of latex. And she hit it in lime green deco, which is vomit colored, and it looks awesome, absolutely awesome. I'm thrilled with it. Would you like to tell the listeners what you thought of it?
Because it looks like a baby. The body is a baby shape. It's not like a proportion of a young girl. It's like a baby doll with this weird head. I don't know. It's very nice. What are you gonna do with this? It's a big baby doll that looks like the girl from The Exorcist. Listen,
I think it's the looseness of the pajamas that make it look like a baby. I think it has more of a normal like body structure. If you saw it out of the looseness of the pajamas is giving it that effect. I don't see a baby doll, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do with it. It is currently on the top of my shelf next to my Freddy Krueger glove and my Mandalorian helmet. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a weird looking. It's definitely pushing the boundaries of what I think is socially acceptable to have on display. But whatever you want. So there were other reports this week. The little rat Zach Linder, he was there at Monster Mania with us. He had a couple interesting things to get signed. He had a William Zabka figure from the 80s. It was from 86 on an unpunched card. You don't see something like that every day. He had Vincent D'Onofrio sign a Men in Black figure. He had Ralph Macchio sign a hockey bobblehead. And like me, Zach Linder had zero ops yesterday.
Yeah, zero ops. I have to say, I didn't know Little Rat was the kind of guy that brought his own stool to cons, but he had the collapsible stool, which somewhere I actually bought a collapsible stool, and to make sure that I keep our matching mint green carts in pristine condition, I am going to start bringing my stool with me, so I don't have to sit on the cart. And
I have a stool as well. I've never brought it to a con once. It's one of those things that seems like a good idea in theory, and in practice, I noticed that Zach's stool had a little strap so he could carry it around like a cute little purse. But mine does not have a nice little strap, so for me to carry it around be a pain in the ass, and I probably will never do it. But I have it somewhere. Actually, part of the issue is digging it out and figuring out where it was.
Listen, Zach, if your stool has little straps on it, you might want to see a doctor.
Oh, Jesus. What else do we have? Vinny was out there this week, multiple events. He was not playing around. He did something called the Theodore Atlas Foundation. I don't know where he finds out about these things, but there was a pretty cool benefit. They had Tony Danza, Tracy Morgan, Vito Anafirmo, some other people. And then there was the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Again, who would ever think there was such a thing existed? But some really good names like Danny DeVito, John Bon Jovi, Edie Falco. Just, he was a hit after hit after hit this weekend.
Yeah, Vinny really got some big hits in this report. Absolutely check it out. And it goes to show when you're in these types of settings, if you can make a good impression and sort of have some social skills, you can really clean up. And that's what he did.
No question. Then what do we got? A bunch of people. Actually, Mike Simon hit the AEW book signing at Bookends. He got the op with Tony Khan and Orange Cassidy. Then he also did a VIP meet and greet for the play Pen Pals in New York City. And he got ops with Maureen McCormick and Sharon Lawrence. So I think he was the only one who did that. I didn't really see any other reports from that.
No. And it's the kind of thing where Maureen could go on a little bit of a con run. She could make nice amount of money for sure. And she could also elevate all of her fellow Brady brethren by doing a run. But she doesn't want to. So, good job to Mike for getting her here. For some of these people, you kind of have to get them where they are. And you can't necessarily will them to come where you would like them to come. So, that was awesome. Very cool. I feel like on some level, I'm going to regret not making the trip to Bookends for Tony Khan. Just because, you're talking an organized signing with a major owner of a company. That's kind of unprecedented. It's also kind of scary that it didn't draw like crazy. Like imagine a signing years ago with Val Venus and Vince McMahon, and that's the equivalent in AEW terms, and it didn't sound like it drew that crazy. But I just didn't feel like making the drive the night before Oaks.
That's reasonable. I had no interest really, so it was whatever. But it was looking at a good get, good setup. Then Sean Fletcher, he hit AEW. He had a fun interaction with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley signed a card that he'd never seen before. Some little banter back and forth. Jack Proctor, who over in the UK did Liverpool Comic Con for John Cena. He had his kid there. There's a great shot there with Cena. A really great picture. And then there are a bunch of people from the board that hit the Natty Neidhart book signing at Bookends. We had Brett Pasternak, Ari, and Jeff Seltzer did that, and it looks like Natty was throwing around extras like crazy.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think I think actually all of these people did the one at the Wrestling Collector. This was not at Bookends. This was at the Tommy Fierro store up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, Natty was hitting extras like they were going out of style. She's always been fan friendly, dating back to when Ira was actually on a first name basis with the Hart Dynasty. That he would that's a funny little story in and of itself. The way Ira was like some sort of a Hart family groupie, and I know the connotation for groupie, that might be what it was. Ira had these, he was pen pals with different Hart cousins, and he these Hart Dynasty people would see Ira, and he's kind of recognizable, but they knew him. And yeah, she was nice back then. She's nice now. I got her with you. We got her at the Brooklyn Cyclones game. Which the idea that you ventured to Coney Island for that and bought a ticket and waited online, you would never do that today for that level
Mark
of
Henry
talent.
also.
Yeah, I don't think would you go there now for Obafemi or something? I don't think so.
Aside from the fact, there's no comparison between the two.
I would argue Oba's probably better. I'm talking.
Come on, man. Mark Henry was a world champion. Get out of here.
Not at that point. I don't think.
Close to it. Where do you come up with this stuff sometimes?
How are you close to being a world champion? Either you are one or you're not. I don't think he was at that point.
He was a top card guy on the main roster for 10 years by that point. Easily.
Not 10 years. You're forgetting how long ago.
What year was that?
This was like 2008. Back in 1998, he was in the Nation of Domination. He was impregnating Mae Young. He wasn't top
He
of
was
the
still
card.
a main roster guy for 10
That
years.
is fair. That is fair. Main roster guy for 10 years. But I don't know if you'd be going to Coney Island today for a main roster 10-year guy.
No,
That's
probably
my point.
not. But yeah, that my habits have changed. But yes, yeah. Whew.
All right.
That's funny.
You're kind of feisty today. Must be pissed off about that cart.
I mean, I thought that was really fun. That was not the greatest comparison. I'm trying to think of what would be a good comparison. I don't know off the top of my head. And
Rusev.
then
Rusev. There we go.
maybe, yeah, I guess that's true. And then Shawn and Finn hit Raw with once again they got the priority pass. They got the Kabuki Warriors, Steph Vaquer and Javon Evans, and they got a special 15th birthday surprise for Finn. They had a cake and happy birthday and whatnot. It's very clear that they take care of them nicely at those priority pass events.
They really do. And let this be sort of the all you need to know. Like obviously this wouldn't have been the night because that was a surprise and all that. But the fact that they have not put like anything with Brock Lesnar, to my knowledge, on the menu for a priority pass anything goes to show the level of avoidance he has for anything involving fan interaction. Like you're able to get, as Shawn and Finn did, that you can tour the damn warehouse with Cody for hours, literal hours, spending time with Cody, looking at all this stuff. And I'll be shocked if they ever put something on the priority pass menu with Brock, even like a 30-second photo op. But yeah, they always take care of their VIPs, and that's a smart business strategy.
Understandable. And finally, I thought this was really cool. I really didn't know what section of our itinerary to post this on, our little schedule here. But Crossfire Scott, he posted a really cool. It was like this poster, this advertisement from a wrestling con from 1977, headlined by Ivan Putski, which is pretty wild because, we were operating under the assumption that the first wrestling cons were booked by John Arezzi, but this is not true, clearly, that there were people doing cons before that. And so I'm very curious, if anyone has been to these or has any information about these. I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, I got when I first saw the post pending, I just saw it was from Scott, and I just like instantly approved it. And then I got to look at it closer, when I was home. And yeah, that kind of, that's like the equivalent of like when you find some like different type of like an artifact that's like an archaeologist. Like this is definitely not the timeline that I thought was how these like wrestling conventions went. So if we can unearth anyone that went to that 48 years ago, if anyone's listening out there, if this is like piped into your hearing aid and you were there, I mean, I would love to have more information about this event because I did not know that. And Crossfire, thank you for sharing.
Awesome. So another Wicked Ink Wednesday is in the books. We got Mike Arring had Pete Townsend of The Who. That's pretty cool. I think he was trying to sell one of those. We had Dustin had those. These are really cool. I don't know if you've seen these before. Batman Forever. Warner Brothers sold 250 each of the one sheets with Batman, Robin, Two-Face, and what was the other one? Poison Ivy, I think.
Probably, I think so.
And it was so we had the one signed by Val Kilmer, the one signed by Chris O'Donnell, the one signed by Tommy Lee Jones. These are super cool. You don't see them come up that often.
Do we know what those retailed for?
I don't know. I had looked into these at one point because I thought they were very cool, but I forget. I don't know what they retailed for.
I've seen them posted somewhere else before. For all I know, it may have been Dustin in a different group posting them. I was not aware that I never knew what their backstory was until this Wicked Ink Wednesday post. That is really cool. Tommy Lee is a super rare graph. Val Kilmer is an icon, and Chris O'Donnell's actually one of those names that the fact he's not doing cons is a bit of a missed opportunity. But
huge missed opportunity. He would go on a nice run.
Yeah, I think he should reconsider.
Then we also had Photo with Friday again. We had Mike Gavin posted a street shot with the terminally overrated Sylvester Stallone, but it was a great shot. It was a great shot. One of these days, people will see the light on Stallone again.
I hope Stallone buys a mint green cart just to piss you off.
Maybe the mainstream will see Stallone for what everyone saw him for 20 years in the 90s and early 2000s. But anyway, what else we got? Joe posted a cool shot with a nice story from Bam Bam Bigelow. I forget the rest of Wicked Wednesday. What am I doing?
You did.
Posted that Sidekick Laserdisc with Chuck Norris and Joe Piscopo. Is it true? I've heard that Joe Piscopo is a bit of a pain in the ass. Is that true?
I've never heard that. He's one of those names I always thought to myself, like, oh, he does a lot of those little, like, appearances, and I just assumed he'd be easy because he sort of has that, like, he has, like, that image of, like, this, like, everyman New Yorker, like, Italian guy on the street that's just nice and, I mean, not too nice since he's a New Yorker, but, kind of approachable. So that would be surprising news if he's a pain. You've heard that?
I had read that somewhere, but I could be wrong too. It just sticks out. I mean, I haven't seen his name rarely pops up, but I feel like I read it somewhere a while back. Anyway, and then with the other photo with Evan posted his shot with Nicole Bass. I love Nicole Bass's antics on Howard Stern, so that was just a pull for me.
Yeah, Nicole Bass, that's a name you don't hear about often. I skipped on her when she was around, and I'm not really sure why, but I never got her.
I think she was at Chiller or Legends or both. I got her at some point.
I think she definitely did a Legends. I think she was a vendor guest, and I just didn't get her. And yeah, I mean, even if I was at that Chiller, I would have skipped on her then as well. But I will survive. Awesome post by Evan, though.
Absolutely.
And damn, the con ads are not. This is how you know the holiday season is approaching, because there's not a hell of a lot to talk about with con ads. Steel City Con, which, I mean, I'm not sure if they've commandeered the entire, like, mall that's over there. I'm not sure where they're fitting all these people, but they've added John Rhys Davies and Randy Quaid, who I believe has a middle name of Virgil at this point.
I mean, but the best part about it, his prices are so high that I'm not sure the kind of business he's attracting, but hey.
Maybe he keeps traveling to every convention because he thinks he's one convention away from finding the people that want to spend whatever the hell his pricing is, which is absurd. I mean, that's the most random thing, to go on this prolific of a run, but you price yourself in such a way that you still make nothing at any of the, like, if he priced himself affordably and was out and doing things, like, okay, you're cleaning up, but, like, he's probably bringing in at 5 conventions what he could bring in at 1 if his pricing was a little more realistic.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Maybe if anyone wants to broach the subject with Mr. Quaid, then that would be a fruitful endeavor. I doubt it because he's a crazy person, but
listen, he stopped wearing the gloves, so maybe he's sort of thawing out to society, and he will be open to reasoning, but maybe. I doubt it.
Probably
and
not.
In other news about high pricing, but in this case, high pricing that will be paid, John Cena, his photo op at the Fanatics Run Survivor Series meet and greet is $443 with fees and I believe JPEG. What do you think of that pricing?
Well, they can charge whatever they want and people will pay it.
Yeah.
I think.
But I mean, this is absolutely pushing the threshold a little bit on what wrestling meet and greets are priced at. I mean, we've not seen anyone like that really hit that kind of a 400 plus range. And I don't think you're going to see Tony Hunter's not going to try to charge 400 for the Steiner brothers now. It's not going to really do much as far as impacting what is being charged. But it definitely sort of puts a line in the sand of let's say Cena does a convention after this run is over. He'd probably be less than that, but I mean, I think he's gonna settle as long as he can higher than maybe he started the last year at. What we saw him at Fan Expo Philly is probably not gonna come back around. That VIP that you bought is starting to seem a little more reasonable if this is his current pricing right now today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I did it. I was really. It's funny. I had very little hesitation when I did it, and it was worth it. So I'm glad I did.
Yes, the best selfie ever. As I'm sure Mike Simon will comment somewhere, since I think he does that a lot. In other news, the Napoleon Dynamite trio, and this is something I probably should care more about, but I don't. But the Napoleon Dynamite trio is back on the road. They hit the different theater spots in the country that do those experience type events, and they do the screening and Q&A of Napoleon Dynamite, and they always do meet and greets. I assume this is no different. I intellectually I want to care because I remember I watched Napoleon Dynamite when it was hot and it was good and I enjoyed it. But it's just one of those things where I don't know, I don't feel any real connection to it. Are you tempted in any way?
Yeah, I am. Where is this one?
Patchogue.
Patchogue's a little bit of a drive, but it depends on the day. But yeah, I don't mind.
I'm thinking about it.
I like Napoleon Dynamite, and it's a great way to knock them all out at once.
See, I already have Napoleon Dynamite. So that's the problem.
I do too, but the other two, you get them all as a group would be nice.
Don't go FOMO me into wanting to do this.
The group is where it's at.
Yeah, crap. And now I'm tempted.
Doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't. A good gust of wind. Sometimes not even.
So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Autograph Collecting community on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe if you like what you're hearing on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating or review. You can leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify. You can leave a thumbs down, thumbs up, or a comment on YouTube. So let's get to the main topic of the week. There was a second bit of fallout from big event, which is one of their customers, guests, whatever you want to call it. He posted a video on social media. Basically, what he did was he took his photo op that he paid $100 for with AJ Lee. He ran it through an AI software thingy, and that generated a video, an AI-generated video of him kind of nuzzling and kissing AJ Lee, and he posted it on social media. And that's probably where it would have died had AJ Lee not herself retweeted this video and asked him to take it down, which then blew it up and it made it all over the media. What are your thoughts?
I was originally, well, let's be completely transparent. This fan is deranged and weird and pathetic, but unlike a lot of other people, arguably unlike all people in this hobby with varying shades of gray, it's not normal behavior. You should not be doing this with anyone that you are not. Hell, I wouldn't put a picture of my wife and I in this app, even. That is like that would be less inappropriate. But like no one should be really doing this. It's weird, and then to post it is weirder. But I was originally a little bit more like outraged by it, and I started thinking about, as you will always mention, I think this might be the first time in real time that we will talk about this, the Streisand effect, where AJ Lee is truly the one that made this as big as it was. And I know what people are going to say out there, that, oh, you're victim blaming. How is it her fault? Should you not call out something that's wrong because you don't want to make it bigger? I get all that. I really do. I think she's probably a little off the mark calling it harassment. I mean, is it really harassment? If you comb your mentions as a famous person on Twitter, I mean, of 50 mentions you're going to find, how many of them would count as harassment? 25, and that's probably, I think that's being modest. There's harassment all over. Like, is this really that damaging that she needed to blow this up? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's largely much ado about nothing. I think that once again, this is another one of those examples where people who are like overly outraged, we need to take a very, very long, hard pause at why those people are outraged. And largely, many of the people who are the most outraged are the people who are kind of a little bit outcast from civil society themselves. And so they look at this as a perfect opportunity to punch down. And again, make no mistake, this guy is a weirdo, he's a mutant. He's barely sentient, you know. He's why are you laughing? He's like, you know, you could see he's just a complete ne'er-do-well, brings nothing to the table in civil society. And that's fine.
I sure hope he's not a listener.
Listen, at some point your audience expands enough. He's like a bottom feeder. But this is a huge but. Rule number one of being a celebrity is you do not give fuel to crazy people. Why would you? This guy has he is an invisible person. He has no following. He has no platform. He has no clout. He is a nobody. He is vapor. And yet she amplified his existence by not only taking the video and sharing it, but sharing his username. So with due respect to her, she's an idiot too, because she completely blew up from something that was nothing into something that was something by amplifying it. And it's one of those things that I think that there are these, I'm going to use a term now that is like it's coded for certain political circumstances, and they don't mean it in that way. But these white knights, they come through and they want to like defend her honor, or they want to defend the honor of civility and normalcy, but they are not defending anything that is reasonable. They're just idiots. And they want to make themselves seem different and better than this guy, when really we are all a half a step different from this guy. And not even a full step, a half a step. Because this guy paid $100 to stand next to AJ Lee for 1.5 seconds and take a picture. And if you think that's normal, then, I mean, most people would say taking that photo and having a little bit of AI amusement with it is really a tiny jump from the initial thing. And it's, again, I don't see him as particularly very different from most other people, but I also look at most of the people in the hobby, myself included, as really doing weird stuff that can't be justified. So yes, is it weird? Sure. Is it like this some harassment that this guy should be vilified? No. He's probably, you know, I've used this term also. He's probably a limited adult, you know. He just by looking at his physical appearance, it's obvious that he doesn't have a ton of success with, you know, relationships and dating and sex and all that. It's pretty clear. And so for this is what this guy's world is. And for us to look down our noses and pretend that he is so different from the rest of these people at big events, I just don't see it. I think he did something stupid, but she did something equally stupid by amplifying it.
Yeah. There was definitely like the whole like pile-on effect where people were, oh, look at him, look at his teeth, look at this. He's never going to have a wife. He's never going to have a girlfriend. And it's like, I guarantee you a lot of the people saying that are people that also will never have wives or girlfriends. The white knighting is a super real thing. They all want, like imagine if they would tweet and say, this guy's disgusting, and AJ would like the tweet. Oh my God, that would be amazing, right? Or maybe they're going to...
It's ejaculation from some of these fellas. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Or maybe there's a female wrestling fan who looks exactly like AJ Lee and is going to fall in love with them because they're different. Even though if they met AJ Lee that weekend, their hand was probably creeping as low to her ass as they could get it. Even though they probably have 50 creepy candids zoomed in from their phone that they're going to do unspeakable things with. It's all just... Again, and that's not just them. That's, you know, maybe I wasn't doing that, but I mean, we're weird. We're all weird. And there is that whole thing where when the person's a little bit weirder, we all kind of pile on. And I think I caught myself doing that at the exact thing. At first, I was more outraged. And then I was even explaining it to you. I'm like, well, you know, I bet you now 5,000, you know, I bet you an extra 50 people that had photos with her this weekend have made videos of themselves kissing her now because she made people aware that this platform existed. And what you said about how that she gave oxygen and life to this, the proof is in the pudding, in the sense that yesterday, this morning before we recorded, I went back to the original tweet of the fan to see if he had still left it up, and he had. And it's up to 1.5 million impressions right now. And what he did like 10 hours ago, sometime in the middle of the night, Saturday into Sunday, he made a new video of him kissing AJ Lee from an old photo. This was an old photo from like a ringside fest or a book signing or something. I'm not sure what it was from, but it was an older photo that he had with her. And him and AJ look just as cozy, if not cozier, in this video as they did in the first one. And guess what? No one is talking about it because she didn't give it the platform for it to be a thing. Granted, now we are, but luckily, our platform is nothing compared to hers. So this is still not going to do what she did to it. Plus, we have no dog in the race. I don't really care if these things are out there. So since we've discussed,
what's crazy to me is the Streisand effect has been known about for decades. People understand this, that most people have no platform. They have no voice. That is just true. Most people are voiceless. They have no real way of reaching large numbers of people. And so for a lot of people on social media, they're out there shouting into the void, right? The Streisand effect says that if there's something moderately interesting and a celebrity amplifies that thing, it becomes infinitely larger and more and seen by way more people than it would have been otherwise. And this is the famous story is that there were these satellite photos or helicopter photos, I forget which one, of Barbara Streisand's house that were published online. And nobody had seen these photos. The website had no traction. There was nothing. And then she complained about she should file a lawsuit about it. And in doing so, then the news outlets started covering it. And now you Google those pictures and they're everywhere. And so this is a thing that nobody would have seen that became seen because someone has no idea how memes work and how media works. And so this is AJ's fault. I don't even consider it victim blaming because I don't even think she's victimized. It's something so stupid. No one looks at this video and believes this cretin is kissing AJ. It's stupid. It's sad and stupid, but it's not anything else. And so
here's my closing thoughts on this. The Streisand effect is known or should be known, but this is 2025, and not using her necessarily as an exact example, but I mean, in this day and age, the Swift effect is that when something is done that you deem wrong or offensive or predatory or whatever, that you are to shout it from the rooftops so society can sort of, in a very loving and accepting way, can just bully and destroy the people for doing it in such a way that it's like a progressive, again, air quotes, form of like the Frankenstein monster that you let's chase the monster with torches in the name of acceptance and tolerance and holding people accountable for their actions. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to get political. Truth be told, I think all sides of politics suck. I think all politicians suck. So I'm not. Don't try to find like hidden gems here in my rhetoric here to sort of find my leanings, because my leanings flip by the day of how stupid they all are. There is definitely a value in sort of our voices having the ability to hold people accountable. That's what Marked Out was for conventions, as far as holding promoters accountable. That's what I think Marked Out Radio is when we called out certain limited adults. That's the importance of a platform and being able to sort of make knowledge and make people aware of things that are wrong. But it completely, I think, takes away the learning factor that would be associated with the Streisand effect, because that is inherently against what our culture tells us today, which is that you never stay quiet, everyone's voice matters, and shout everything so justice comes. And I think in this case, that logic is what blew this up even bigger. And if she would have shut her mouth, said what a pathetic loser this guy is, and continued counting the six figures she probably pulled in from the weekend, all would have been fine. And listen, all is fine now. Nothing matters. This is honestly less egregious than a lot of the creepiness that happens at conventions. Thank God she wasn't touched inappropriately, or at least that no one mentioned. No one followed her or did anything threatening like that, this is pretty damn harmless. It's pathetic, it's weird, but it's harmless. But I mean, in 2025, I don't think the Streisand effect is the cautionary tale it once was.
Well, no, because what this did, and call me cynical, but this also put AJ's name into the news all over the place.
Yeah, and just to sort of bring this on home, because of course, as we see with the comments, and listen, I love every comment, even if it's comments I will respond to and disagree with. I love the comments, I love the engagement. But people were like, oh, things like this, it ruins everything. AJ's not going to come out again because of this. Other people aren't going to come out again because of this. I mean, I'm sure I could find, I think that's complete bull. I'm sure I could find a platform right now where I could take a picture of myself and Theodore Roosevelt, and me and Theodore Roosevelt could do some very unspeakable things in a video. And I didn't meet Theodore Roosevelt. There was no pro-op. There was nothing. I don't think this matters at all. I think AJ Lee, if she's going to turn down a future high 5, low 6-figure deal because someone might make an AI video afterwards, I mean, then she's out of her mind, or she's a lot more financially comfortable than I will ever be, where I would never be able to turn something down, even for much less, over something so trivial. Do you think this has any sort of ramifications on the hobby?
No, none whatsoever.
No.
And again, it's very funny that's always people's go-to. Oh my God, this is going to ruin this person for the hobby. That's like, that in and of itself is a hilarious look at the world. It's a hilarious viewpoint. So it's all just very silly to me.
And just to touch on AI for a second, who do you think is more to blame? And keep in mind, I realize that you don't really consider this that much of an offense as some people. Are you someone that would feel that the platforms need to be regulated more, that something like this can't be done? Do you think the person doing it should do better, or do you think it's all just stupid fun with an AI program and who cares what happens?
This is stupid fun. This is not this video is no threat to anyone. Regulation, absolutely not for these kind of things. Absolutely not. That never goes well. Number one, and number two, come on. I don't understand why people are making such a big deal about something that just doesn't matter that much. I mean, it's not like it can be mistaken for being real. It can't. It's obviously not real. So at that point, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, I sent a funny video. I meant to send it to you yesterday. I found a funny video on TikTok. It was an AI video of Hulk Hogan being interviewed by Mean Gene, in which Hulk Hogan then starts spraying diarrhea all over himself and Mean Gene. And
I'm not gonna lie, you are far more amused by AI diarrhea videos. Like you mentioned, like the chiropractor. I would have thought you would have hated diarrhea videos like from an AI source or even a real source. I didn't think.
I find diarrhea videos very funny.
You are a crap connoisseur. I would not have pegged you as that.
Yeah, I have no issues with these things, none. So I mean, I just find people and their outrage about it very silly.
Fair.
So what's coming up for us?
Nothing, I think. Are you still on the no side of the Steel City fence?
I think we have to close the door on Steel City, and the main reason is that I don't feel comfortable making plans to drive in December with the weather being, you know, it can always turn left at any given moment, and all of a sudden you're in trouble, and you've sunk money into a drive that, you know, you either have to take a loss or you have to put your safety in jeopardy to drive. The lineup for Steel City is incredible, maybe one of the best lineups ever, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is harder for you, or at least on paper, it should be harder for you than it is for me. I have ops with Stamos, Charlie, and LaBeouf, who I think would, at least from my perspective, those would be the three sort of highlights of the lineup. I would like autographs. I can get autographs on the secondary market of the people I need. That's probably something that I will do with my finances now that I have months and months without cons. I mean, I could save and invest and do different things, or I could continue buying autographs and old toys. but that sounds more fun. So I'll probably utilize some of the budget that would have been for Steel toward getting the stuff I need from like the stuff the stuff I covet from these people that. And see, this is why we're only a half a step away from these real lunatics of the world, because I just said need. And gun to my head, I understand how it's not a need, but at the same time, kind of feels like a need sometimes. So we're all deranged, all of us, including these hosts that you are listening to right now. Don't ever think we're like passing judgment on others. We are passing judgment on ourselves just as much.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's honestly, that I feel like that's what gives me the ability to make such broad critical statements about people and how people like Steve and people like the AI video dude hold a mirror up to these people and makes them feel uncomfortable about their own choices. I'm pretty comfortable with my choices. So I feel very, very comfortable saying stuff because I know how ridiculous my choices are and how ridiculous this hobby is, and it doesn't like offend me. It doesn't bother me to make fun of myself or to make fun of the things that I like. I'm very secure in it, and so it just does. It always makes me laugh a little when people are insecure about the things they like. Mainly because I can't think of a sadder way to live than to be insecure about the things you like. Well, then what joy do you have if you're insecure about the things that you like, right? It's like people who are embarrassed of their significant other, people who are embarrassed of their hobbies, people who are embarrassed of their job. Listen, you get one bite at the apple, you get one life, and if you're going to go through life being embarrassed about the stuff that makes you you, then either change it or shut up. That's how I feel. So with this kind of thing, I have no embarrassment about the hobby at all.
Yeah, and I don't even know where this little like follow-up segment here was not planned at all. But just to sort of drive it home, there was absolutely a time in my collecting career where I was a little more self-conscious about things. Like I would upload like wrestling photos on Facebook with like a certain like a list that only certain people would see it. Because like my thought was, if I put up a photo with like shirtless Kamala or the boogeyman eating worms or whatever, that the people that don't get this will think it's weird. And like the last, like whatever, 7-8 years, I don't care who thinks it's weird. I just, whatever I post, I post. Everyone sees whatever I post. I don't really care. So, similarly, buying like if I was in the store as an adult buying like action figures, if I saw someone I knew and I had like an armful of figures, I'd be like, oh no. And now I couldn't care less. I go on this platform every single week and talk about the hundreds and hundreds of dollars I spend on old Hasbros. I don't care. Maybe, I'm not sure if that comes with age, if that comes with just perspective. I don't know. So, I mean, I don't want to judge people that are maybe less comfortable in their interests and fandoms, because I got there later on than maybe you did. But yeah, I think that if you're someone that is still ashamed and that you feel that kind of a way about things, that maybe that's why you tear into people that are a little crazier than you. Like you said, either get comfortable with what you're doing or recognize that you're not happy with what you're doing and do something else. Change your life, do something different with it.
Yeah, I don't know any other way to say it. You only have one life. And because I don't really think any of this stuff is real. So you have one life and you're going to spend it how you're going to spend it. And if you're going to spend all that time and effort on something and then, live with shame, come on. Yeah. It's just no way to live. It's miserable. It's a miserable way to live.
By the way, imagine if reincarnation exists, but only for people that follow the combo gods. And like, imagine Jerry in another life was like chasing Genghis Khan and like all these different figures of history, like just trying to gather like I don't know, autographs or artifacts, or just imagine that you only live once, but maybe combo hunters will live forever.
Maybe that's the lesson we all derive from all of this. Yes. I don't know. So I'm willing to close the book on Steel City. I just don't want to put my safety in jeopardy with that drive. And I don't really we don't really have any bookings right now. We're trying to put some things together, put some wheels in motion for the spring, but really nothing will be announced until maybe end of January. if we end up going down that path. We're exploring some things, but we're not ready to announce anything yet.
Yeah, full disclosure, the big event was originally announced as March 14th, and like not like a big announcement, but it was like mentioned in like passing and comments and different captions. And then it was pushed to now it's March 21st. And you will be out of town for much of March 21st.
I will.
Anything
I have a non-negotiable that every year that weekend, and it's something I'm very committed to a year in advance, and there's no changing it. And it's honestly, when I saw that big event was the 14th, I was like, finally, we can do something, and for that March show. And then of course they changed the date, which is honestly infuriating. But what can you do?
Yeah. So anything we would do is would be me and some of our trusted friends and colleagues, working with us as they have in the past. So I don't know what we're doing, if anything. As we said, we always said this, that once these boys relocated to Orlando, that our sort of on the ground, in person aspect of the business would change a little bit. And I assume, this is somewhat of a
the
growth
boys are in
period.
Orlando.
Yeah. And like, I don't, no shade to anyone that is, but like, I don't have any real motivation to go book Tony Atlas. I don't have any motivation to throw like, $8,000 at the newest NXT release. Like, I don't. So I'm not sure what March holds. I'm not sure what November holds as far as in person. But I mean, we're always looking and weighing and discussing, and if there's something that makes sense, we'll do it. And if there isn't something that makes sense, you will see me running around the big event with a very, very nice looking mint green cart, and I'm sure I'll be doing deals left and right like I always do. So, but the beautiful thing is Thanksgiving, Christmas is approaching. We are hibernating. We have inventory to finish up. We have Black Friday sales to drop this week. Some big stuff coming with Black Friday. I mean, we're going to have some insane deals. So just stay tuned to all of our pages, and especially the Facebook group.
It's true. So once again, if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. And so that's pretty much it for this week.
Yeah.
So, just so with our passing on Steel City, we are really our plan is to kind of shift the show from con reports for the rest of the year. So we have a backlog of topics and listener questions and all kinds of stuff to talk about. So it's not just, but now that there's no cons, there's nothing to talk about. We have so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah, this is actually, if people saw the sort of the bottom end of our show outlines every week, the amount of stuff we punt, because I don't think I for my own sanity and for the listener's sanity, I don't want to become one of those 3-hour podcasts every week. I don't at all. And I think you're in agreement there. So we have so much stuff that we're like, well, holy crap, these 7 shows added 56 people combined that we have to discuss in the reports. We can't touch on all these different things that we want to touch on. So now we sort of have the freedom to do things like that. So I'm excited for the couple of weeks that we have now before con season starts picking up for the spring.
Absolutely. So on that note, for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.